Thank you for watching Conscious Consumer Network. The live stream broadcast is free to view. You can pause and rewind live broadcasts to catch up, or view shows at a later date by accessing our free archives of all shows. Check out our broadcast guide to see what's on. You can show your support by donating to our network support fund. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or subscribe to the monthly newsletter for updates. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.
Capitalism revolves around private property. Products and services are supposed to be provided by individuals who sell on the open market based on supply and demand. However, people like Karl Marx considered capitalism unfair towards the average worker and wanted to create a system in which everyone is equal. Marx said capitalism needs to initially be replaced by socialism. Under socialism, the state would gain control over the means of production, such as land and natural resources. In his view, socialism itself would eventually be replaced by communism, under which absolutely everyone is equal and the state doesn't even have to exist. So far, contrary to what most people think, communism, as defined by Marx, never materialized anywhere. Even in the USSR, you still had a state, and therefore, it was not something Marx would consider communism. It was still socialism. As of 1848, socialism spread to a lot of countries. This economic model, however, wasn't very efficient, as illustrated by the poor economic performance of the USSR and the countries under its sphere of influence. Today, that form of socialism only exists in isolated countries such as North Korea and Venezuela. Instead, socialism has morphed and we now have three main trends. 1. Chinese socialism, with a high dose of capitalism but no democracy. 2. Democratic socialism, such as in Northern Europe, with democracy and private property, but heavy redistribution through high levels of taxation. 3. Socialism as a component of capitalism, present in countries such as the US or the UK, which lean more towards capitalism but still have state-funded social programs. As can be seen, pure communism and capitalism don't exist at this point, and instead we have various combinations between the two.
Hi, I'm Dylan.
Hi, I'm Neil, and this is Youth on Subjects of the World. And today we're going to be talking about economics. And so let's just talk about a little bit about currency. So what is currency? How is it created? So basically, in the context of the United States, currency is you can't really call it money, because money has actual value in itself, like gold. All money used to be backed by gold.
Would currency be gold
Well, money is like universally agreed, not universally, but it's generally agreed that it's valuable. We used to just barter and trade, like I'll give you this cow if you give me that horse. You see what I mean? But let's say you didn't want the cow and I still wanted that horse. How would we do that? So how we would accomplish that is finding something that is valuable for all of us equally. So one of those things was gold. So gold started becoming this thing where people would use gold coins to buy things, which is some of the original things dating back to long ago in Greece. Coins would be used. And then came along the problem with thieves and the amount of gold. You can't carry around a backpack of gold if you want to buy yourself a house. So what are you going to do then? So they had banks then, the first banks. And the banks would say, hey, I have a vault. I can keep your money in it for a small fee, and your gold is safe. So you simply put your gold in the vault, the first bank of its kind. They lock the doors and they give you an IOU. I owe you 10 gold pieces. And therefore, that would allow you to go around, and that is the first paper money, by the way, and pay it to people and just say, hey, I would like to buy those berries. Oh, you have that piece of paper that is universally recognized to represent gold, a universally recognized awesome money source because we all want gold. We all know it's valuable. So that is how the first money was created. The problem is with currency is that the problem with this is that this new type of the currency that we currently have, the US dollar in America, it used to be represented by gold. But as people may know, the first colonial dollars actually were represented by nothing, just printed by the government. So came along the saying, which is why they did that so they could print as much as they want to fund the war. But a saying came along saying that as worthless as a colonial dollar. So basically, America was mocked and ridiculed for that. But after the war, money started becoming backed by gold, which was proposed by, I believe, Thomas Jefferson. And he really advocated for this and said, we cannot have a central bank. We have to choose between economy and tyranny, and a great speech all around. You can look it up. But bottom line is that's how it was for a while. But the way money is created now is that basically the government, I think I have a thing written down here, and then I want you, and then I'm gonna ask your opinion on Dylan. So the way it let me just get this. So basically the Treasury, they get out bonds, IOUs, and they give it to the banks, and they give it to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve basically writes a check, and they write the check, and basically the check has always linked with the bank account that has zero bounce, but the check can't bounce to anywhere. The Federal Reserve is always the last line of where the money goes. So basically, they give the check, which is basically paper money, right, to the banks, and then money is created from literally nowhere. And since it's an IOU in the process, the national debt is increasingly rise whenever money is created, which is why even if inflation wasn't a problem, let's imagine in a small world where inflation isn't a problem, if we were to print as much money as it could take to pay off the national debt, it still wouldn't matter, even if inflation wasn't a problem, because the debt itself is exactly always with the money. So this is where how much money we have in existence, and this is what the debt is for America. Debt is here, money is here. And the way it works is that the way the money system is right now in America, for us to pay off all our debt, we will take away all our money and still have debt left. It will crash everything, and it doesn't work. Money is coming from nowhere. All right, Dylan, what do you think about this? You're still muted.
You just mean like how bad it is? Neil?
Yeah, what you said? I didn't hear you.
Just like how bad it is?
Yeah, how bad it is, what do you think your opinion on this is, and like how can we change it, or any other knowledge you want to bring to the table?
I mean, it's pretty clearly evil. I mean, you can't just have something come from nothing and, like, what was I gonna say? Kind of blanking. But, like, you can't be just printing money out of nowhere. Like, there has to be a source. And same with, like, loans. Like, that's how a lot of money is put into our system, is from loans that people take out. And so, like, when a bank has money in their big vaults, and then they need more money to loan out to other people, they have to go up to another bank or to the Fed and say, like, just come give us money that we can loan out, and then we can make more money off those loans, because then they have to pay us back.
Just to be clear, though, this is called, I believe, are you trying to describe fractional reserve banking?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's called. And so, that's, like, basically making money from doing no work. Like, you're still paying it back, but there's nothing behind that dollar. It's just a dollar given out, well, basically for free. Like, you have to pay it back eventually, but you got a dollar, and in return you did nothing. So that system can't really exist. So I think in certain ways it can, but not on as big a scale as it is now. And I mean, even what do you say? Like, even when you have your cash, and you bring it to the bank and say, like, hold this for me, they can loan away like 90% of that money, and then that money is then loaned off, or is then used to pay off other loans, and then that money is used to pay off other loans. So it's just enormous, like, waterfall of money being used to pay off loans, just loaning money to pay off loans, and so it's just like a big catastrophic waterfall with nothing at the end. It's just going on forever. And then, like, you have like poor people who can't afford to have any loans, so everybody else is getting all this essentially free money, and so like all the rich people get all this free money, and all the poor people actually need the money don't get it because they don't have like good enough. They don't have enough money to be able to afford loans. So then, as milk costs, like, if like the cost of milk goes up because everybody's getting all this free money, which is going into circulation, which is causing inflation, which is rising the prices of everything around them because there's more money in circulation. And so then all the prices go up, which normally people can pay, but the poor people who don't get any of the money, it's really hard for them to buy a bottle of milk because they didn't get any of that free money. So what do you think of that, Neil?
So fractional reserve banking, basically, it's actually where most of our money comes from. So the money that's originally created is from what I just said. You can go back and watch that again. The government, the whole IOU crap, where it's impossible to pay off the national debt just because the national debt is in complete and utter relationship. It has a close and unbreakable relationship with the money. So just going back and watch that if you want to. But fractional reserve banking, basically, like you just said, I can deposit $100 and the bank can take 90% of that. They can take $90 away. They can keep $10 and like for safekeeping unless I want some of that back. But basically, they just have this over here. But as you know, everything is stored on computers. So guess what? Your account says you have $100, but the bank physically takes $90 away from that. But technically, you still have $100 left, even though it's just $10 physical money in your account that they have from you. But $100 it says on your account. They take $90 from that and give it to somebody else as a loan. You just created $190 because when they need that money, they're going to say, hey, Federal Reserve, can we get this computer? It says that we have $190, but we only have $10. So do you see how the money is created and duplicated? Then the people who get that money deposited in their banks. In the end, this is how 6 to 92% of all our money is created. It's insane. And through this, we pay our taxes to the IRS, and so much of that is given to paying back some of the debt that we have, even though it can never be paid back, and it's given to the IRS and the Federal Reserve, and these people at the top of it, they're just getting everything, and we have to pay them to give us money that is crap and useless, that doesn't even work properly, and it's absolutely insane. I cannot believe that this is illegal and that more people aren't talking about this. The best way to fix this is for everybody to know. When everybody knows this, the reason it's so complicated, and that's in a video I watched, I don't know what it's called, but the reason it's so complicated is to get as few people actually looking at it as possible. It's called the Monetary System Visually Explained. I know Dylan watched it, great video all around. Definitely watch that. It's amazing. But it just infuriates, and also I think it's the collapse of the American dream, also a great video. These are just videos that are so great, yet so terrifying what's happening. And we need to open our eyes and realize how we're just getting absolutely ripped off by this huge company. The Federal Reserve doesn't belong to the government. The Federal Reserve is a private company.
And it's really kind of crazy, too, because, what did I say? Yeah, just like basically just creating money out of nothing. Like, and a system can't function like that if you just keep putting money in. Inflation is going to make everything cost an incredible amount of money. Here, one second. people are talking, so you can talk, Neil.
Okay, so basically, I just think that the best way to get this back to how it should be is for everybody to know about it, like I was just saying. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, this is our founding fathers of this country specifically lauded out that we cannot have a central banking system, and the bank and every single American dollar should be backed by gold and silver. And that was how it was written in the Constitution, because they knew the dangers of having a central bank. The whole revolution was a tax evasion, just because these crazy taxes. And it's just absolutely incredible how we're paying this now. And it's just horrible. George Washington once said that the debts of a generation should never exceed the length of the generation itself to give the debts to the future generation. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing here. He didn't actually say that. He said that, but he didn't say it in the words I said. But you understand how horrible this is? We're basically giving our children and our children's children this bullcrap system. So basically that it's horrible. And you can't pay the debt. People talk about doing this and doing that. Oh, we're going to get rid of the debt. No, you're not going to do shit because it's impossible.
Like another thing exactly like that is the Social Security Fund is you've all heard of Ponzi schemes or pyramid schemes, but that's probably the biggest one ever, because the government tells you that you pay your taxes, or some percentage of your taxes goes to an account where when you get older it helps you pay for things. It's an automatic savings account.
Quick thing right now, it's we got a comment saying that hey guys, just tuning in, what's the topic? It's economics. The topic is economics.
And so it's they say that they put it into an account, and but actually what happens is all the money that people are paying off now goes to paying off the elderly now. So there's no account. It's just it's relying on people having more and more children to pay off the debts for yourself. So the only person paying for your own debts is going to be your children. There's no secret fund that holds all your money for you.
The entire system is basically, they're just kicking the can down the road. They're just basically saying, you know what? Because you know why? Because they don't want the system to collapse under them. All these politicians are complete freaking scumbags. I mean, this is no secret. Most politicians are absolute scumbags. They'll do stuff that you want, yes, but most of them are just absolute scumbags. And they're basically just saying, okay, we don't want the system to fall under my watch, because otherwise my, I'm screwed. My public image is absolutely done and over with. But that's basically what they're doing. They're just saying, okay, we're just going to keep it calm, keep the Fed happy, keep Americans ignorant, and everything will be okay. Just lying to the public, lying to everybody, giving the Federal Reserve and keeping up with the Federal Reserve's shit that we shouldn't have to put up with. And basically just letting this private company buy a bunch of, this is basically the stereotypical capitalism. If you look at if you look at the Cold War, all the Russian propaganda was all about, oh my God, capitalists is just greedy pigs who are at the top, and the common man is just suffering at the bottom. It just has to take it all. And honestly, this is perpetuating that idea. And it's not even actually just supporting it. This is that idea. The whole idea of bad capitalism is happening right now. Not to say socialism doesn't have its flaws, because it's extremely hard for a government to, manage all the economic stuff that happens. But that being said, socialism brings up some extremely valid points about how this works. We got a question. What do you think about Bitcoin? Well, what I think about Bitcoin is that it's going to fail. It's awesome. It's great, but it's going to fail. because the governments don't want it. It's not that they're gonna like put like a thing on it, like a whole ban, and it's that they're just not gonna really allow many places. I mean, there are like a few, you can Google like a few coffee shops in freaking Washington, D.C. or California that have like a Bitcoin, you can spend Bitcoins on it. But other than like, buying drugs on the deep web, that's all you can really do.
Yeah, I heard it's really hard to use, like Bitcoin.
It is really hard to use.
There were like some people that were trying to like kind of survive off of it, and it's just really, really hard to use. Like,
yeah, because you
the
can't
ATMs, like the ATMs are super hard to use, and it's just like, it's really just, I think, for hackers and stuff, because it's untraceable money.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go and hire a hitman on the deep web, be my guest, use Bitcoins. By the way, Utah and Subject to the World does not endorse hiring a hitman to kill your neighbor. But, I mean, if you're going to use that, it's probably the best idea. It's untraceable. But because of that, it's untraceable. No one can do anything. Bitcoin's genius. It's a genius thing. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But there's no way it's going to become mainstream. I believe there's another type of thing that's kind of like Bitcoin, but it's more mainstream. It's more like, not mainstream, but it's more like open source where people can look at the data. I'm not sure. I'm pretty ignorant on that, but I think if anything, that's going to become the new currency. Something that a very open source, everybody can see it. Not money controlled by the government. I feel like that's gonna get abolished eventually. This system cannot continue. I think it's eventually going to be something like Bitcoin, but everybody can see the data. It's open data. Everybody can see it. I think money is eventually going to become a separate entity from the government. Now we have another question. Is that a solution to central? That's an add-on, I think, to what do you think about Bitcoin? Is that a solution to centralized banking? Well, I think something like Bitcoin definitely could be, but Bitcoin itself, no. All right, so maybe we should move on to the next, what we want to talk about next, about how money works. Maybe we should talk about how maybe like a proof of how, something about what's it called? Inflammation, not inflammation. Cause that's when your throat, something swells up. What's it called? When money gets less valuable and things become more expensive. What's inflation? Inflation. Live show, folks. That's what happens. But by the way, any questions we can get? We need them. That'd be great. Anyway, so inflation. How does it work? There's a reason we can't just pay off thing. There's we can't just buy a bunch of money and get a bunch of money and do things. Now it's obviously because of what I just said about how the Federal Reserve works.
I was watching this thing about, so like, I'm pretty sure there's a thing in the Bible, and it talks about like the angel Gabriel comes down and gives, like, he sees all of his disciples are really, really like poor and tired and like angry, and so he's like, why does this have to be? And he just gives everybody, he doubles the amount in everybody's bank accounts. Or just doubles the amount of money everywhere, for everyone. And so, actually that would not do anything at all. Because if there's double the money in the system, just instantly, and there's no work for it at all, people are going to realize that there's more spending money to spend, and they're going to up the prices. And so people that go out and spend the money instantly, or who are the dumb people, like in reality, are actually the smart people in that scenario, because they spend it before people realize to pump the prices of everything around them. Besides, people just have to save their money, and then their money becomes just worthless. Like, their money does not go up at all or go down at all. It just stays the same because of inflation. That's how inflation works.
A really quick example of how bad it is to just print money is that, I forget which country it actually was, somewhere in Europe, I'm pretty sure, Eurasia, Europe, but it was this country. I forget which one it was. But basically what happened was that they had a lot of debts and they needed to pay them off. And this is an example of how just like completely government controlling the money is not a good idea. Printing money is not a good idea. Even if the government controls all the money and there's no Federal Reserve, it's still a problem, and here's why. So basically, the government just printed a shit ton of money. That's basically what they did. That's what they did. And they just spent all that money And they just spent all that money on the debts and everything, and it's all okay. But the problem was mass inflation happened, where it took literally it took like a wheelbarrow of like money stacked to the top to buy like a loaf of bread. It was absolutely insane. They had to scrap their entire currency. It was unsalvageable. They could not do anything with it. So yeah, don't do that. Don't just print money, even if you don't have a Federal Reserve. I mean, don't get me wrong. Printing money yourself is a better idea than having the Federal Reserve do it. I'm talking about government. I'm not saying you should counterfeit. I'm talking about the government yourself. Better having the government print the money than the Federal Reserve print the money. But it's not a good idea to have the government just dollar bills, y'all, just everywhere, because that'll fix the problem. Because it won't. It'll just make it absolutely so much worse. They'll probably have to create God knows, like $500,000 bills for everybody to like buy a loaf of bread if that happens. But basically, the way inflation is right now, it's that we also have to think about how raising the minimum wage, it's not that it won't work. It's that it won't work completely because there will be inflation, but it still will work in some ways, because it will still create more money. It's not like we're giving everybody a large sum of money, right? But if you look at I was just learning this today. It was pretty cool. The World Happiness Scale. I can't remember what it's called. Something like world happiest countries in the world, and I think top one was, I think it was either Norway or Denmark. And the reason is because, I forget what it was, but they had a $25 minimum wage. Seriously, $25 per hour minimum wage. And they took care.
That's really insane.
It's insane. They took care of. Read your mic down. The background noise is absolutely. Yeah, thank you. The background noise. It was like a lot of fuzz. I don't know, but basically, so what happened is that what was I just saying, Dylan?
You're talking about the minimum wage in Denmark.
Right. So basically, the minimum wage, Denmark or Norway, I forget which one. Basically, they took care of housing needs. They took care of all this basic crap, college, housing, this. Socialism, bullcrap scum, right? Damn those socialists to hell, America.
Well, actually,
yeah,
I know in Sweden, I believe in Sweden, either they passed it or they were voting on it, where if you didn't have a job, you just got a minimum wage. That was enough to like pay it was like $30,000 a year or something.
And guess what?
Well, like even in Germany, I know I was talking to my aunt today, and she was saying in Germany they subsidize, like, homeschooling is still legal and unschooling, and also secondary schools, but they subsidize going to private schools. Like, if you want to go to a Waldorf school or, like, I don't know, some type of hippie school that they can regulate, they'll subsidize that for you.
So another thing with if they found that was the Denmark or Norway, I forget which one, but they had the huge minimum wage, took care of housing, college, all of this crap, happiest in the world. Happiest. They were so happy because they could think about other things than just this crap money. And guess what? Surprising or not, I mean, it's a pretty awesome idea. I'm not saying that we should give out handouts like a huge country like America should just give out a bunch of handouts. You have to take it slow and steady.
Well, it's easier.
And we have to think about how it works.
It's easier to do it there because I think a lot of young Americans, they think that they can do that in America, like be giving out like $25 minimum wages, which in America is near impossible. They just think that it should happen, and that if it doesn't, then it's American corporate scum. And like, I think that's why a lot of people really like Bernie Sanders, was because he was saying the things that everybody else wanted to hear, was like free college, higher minimum wage, things.
But we couldn't get the money. Where was the money?
Yeah. There's no money to come from. His plans were ridiculous. Not like this is me saying Trump is good, because it's not. I'm just saying Bernie Sanders is bad. But like, he has all these grand ideas to pay for all these things, and it's like, where are you going to get the money from? Like, that barely makes any sense. Where are you going to get the money from?
We have to understand something. You have to understand something.
But actually, Neil, so it's easier to do that too in all those Norwegian countries because they're so tiny.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Tiny.
I think this is a great control sample. This is proof of concept. It's not like we can move it to a huge country like China, India, America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It cannot work on a large scale. I think it can work on a small scale.
It might be able to work. It might be able to work, but I think we have proof of concept. It just needs to be slowly implemented.
I think once it gets onto a larger scale, people there's more people with more ideas. And
right,
then
exactly.
more people will vote for those ideas.
If we didn't have
this, more radicalized.
Because the world is starting to become a little more isolationist. Following, I'm not blaming Trump. I'm just saying the facts. The world is becoming a little more reserved, less globalization happening really quick right now. We're following the 2016 election, with Brexit happening, and again, not saying it's Trump's fault. Stay in statistics. I don't even really think it's that much Trump's fault. But basically, we're moving a little bit less away from globalization as much, with America threatening to leave NATO. So basically, we have a bit of a problem, and that problem is it's not like we can all come together and work out all these problems, get our smartest people from every single country and get them together in one room and talk about how to make the lives of everybody on planet Earth better, because politicians are assholes. It's always going to come back to that. Politicians don't want to give other countries the smartest people because why? Politicians are assholes. It's always going to come back to that. It will never go away from that. But the problem is that, and but problem is that what you can do is the government can really create money, though. It really can. It really can just basically say, it can just say, okay, we're going to raise the budget. They just raise the debt limit, and they can raise it infinitely. So I'm not sure how well it would have worked, but you can definitely raise that debt limit pretty high. And it's not like the Federal Reserve is going to get too. I mean, the Federal Reserve is probably at some point going to say, hey, stop, what the hell? But, I mean, to a certain extent, what do they have to lose? They're literally writing a check and sending it to the banks. That's all they're freaking doing. They just have a printer going. I mean, it's not like we're just actually spending money. We're just pressing a printer. It's not like the Federal Reserve's like, oh, I'm pressing that printer too much, bro. It's like they get more money the more they press that damn printer. But I think the problem isn't really as much universal minimum wage, this, that. I think the main problem right now is the fact that because we're getting taxed, I mean, I'm pretty sure tax rates would go down if we actually had great actual back to money and we didn't have this whole bull crap scheme going on and the money was just so weird being cloned. I mean, and you know what? JFK actually signed an executive order saying that America will go, all America's money will go back to being backed by silver. 6 months later, he was assassinated, and LBJ just got rid of it. Seriously, LBJ scrapped it the second he came into office. It's absolutely insane, and he agreed to scrap it before he got into office.
I know a lot of people think that part of the reason JFK was assassinated was because of the Federal Reserve and just LBJ wanting to become president, because I think a lot of those people, they value power over money. They really, really like power. And money is just something on the side that comes along with power. But I think a lot of those people are very, very, very power hungry and don't really care who they kill on their way. Or destroy. I shouldn't say kill because it's not killing, but destroying. It's really very evil. And they can be extremely manipulative. I don't know that word.
Manipulative?
Yeah, me word good.
Word good.
But
grammar good.
But I think it just seems like a lot of politicians just say what people want to hear with nothing behind it. It's just people just say shit and then they don't do anything about it. It's just yeah, we're gonna do this, I have all these plans, and they have no proof behind it. I know Bernie Sanders' plan for paying off college, which is just dumb already, but his plan was to put a 1 or 2% tax, 0.0 or 0.2% tax on all Wall Street transactions, and that was going to pay for all the college in America, all the college debts. And I believe somebody did the math, and it was $100 million short. by his calculations. It was like, it wasn't even fathomably close to be able to pay everything off. And he just totally makes shit up all the time. A lot of those guys do. Or women. I mean, Hillary Clinton is not a guy, but also she's not very much human. She's probably a snake lord. But
yeah, I think Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders are all just freaking... Actually, no, I think Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are snake people, and Bernie Sanders has some good ideas, but he's probably just a bit of a old man who doesn't know how to just like, oh, I'm going to pay the taxes, and I'm going to pay the taxes and get rid of the snakes with the taxes.
I'm going to get rid of the corporate pig, boy.
Yeah, by doing it. By
saying things that make millennials happy.
I know. It's like Bernie Sanders is cool and all, but all of his ideas definitely can't be implemented. Hillary Clinton, absolute manipulative piece of shit, who just changes her ideas based on her political standpoints. Donald Trump, absolute freaking idiot, and none of them are going to do anything about the Federal Reserve because none of them are. They're too scared to talk about it. They're too scared to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it'd also be dumb to pay off college debts because I think a lot of millennials are not okay with college debts. Like, they really think that the government should pay for it, which, in my mind, does not make any sense. Like, college is something that, like, that's your choice. Like, I know people say it's, like, you have to go to college, but I honestly don't know if I agree with that you have to go to college. Like, college is your choice off the bat. And also, it'd be ridiculous for the government to want to be paying off your college debts, even if it doesn't cost them too much, like, just another tax on something else to be able to pay it off, would just be dumb because it makes the government so much money that they use it inefficiently, but they still use it. But it's a great investment for them. That's why they push college so much in public schools, like whole classes on just why you should go to college, why it makes fiscal sense to go to college. And honestly, it probably doesn't unless you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or like a money-making job. Really doesn't make much sense to go to college, I think.
Well, you could make money without college because the way, I know you didn't mean it though, but just a funny thing, the way I said it's like, you only have to go to college if you want to make money. I'm kidding, but that's pretty funny. But
no,
yeah, I know.
I do think that. Like, it doesn't make much sense to go to college to be an artist. Like, I don't see much reason to go to art school.
Dylan. I, for one, going to a liberal arts college, think it's a great investment, and it's not a waste of money at all.
It's ridiculous. Or if you want to go into a craft where you use your hands, like, my dad was showing me some college, like, not like he's one of those people, it's like, you go to college, or you're going to freaking die in a hole. But it's like, he was showing me this college where you work with your hands. It's like it's a college, and all you do, they teach you how to, like, woodwork or different things like that. And I was like, that really doesn't make much sense to me. Like, you could just go be an apprentice for somebody if you want to do that. And it was like $30,000 a year, which is just incredible. And to be an apprentice, like, first off, it's normally 3 years of doing work, like almost like slave labor, but it's free. Well, you don't have to pay anything. And you get infinitely more experience working in the real world. Like, you get the owning a business side, how it actually works, how the business actually works, not just the skills you need, because you get the actual skills of woodworking, but you don't get the skills of running a business. And I think apprenticeships help a lot with that. But, like, it doesn't make much sense for the governments to pay for you to go to college, just because, like I was saying, in public school, they push it so much so that when you get to that age, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to go to college for sure, 100%. Like, there's no question about it for most people, but it's just because it's, like, infused into your brain that you have to go to college. And then people take out college loans because most people can't pay college in cash. And so you take loans out from the government. And, there's definitely different programs to lower your college loans and stuff. But, like, for the most part, people pay down a lot of their college loans. And just over long periods of time. Like, even my dad is still paying down his college debts. And he's 55 years old. It's incredible amount of time.
That's horrible.
But like it's just a great investment for the government because it's just like an investment that everybody pays back. I mean, that's another thing that happened. The 2008 crash is people relying on the fact that everybody pays down their mortgages, which we learned is not true. So what do you think on that, Neil? Here, actually, I'm going to be right back.
So I think that the college debt, it's like, it would be awesome if we didn't have to pay anything, but it's not really feasible on how it works. I mean, just, it's a great, it would just be, I mean, we can't, as much as we want to, not want to, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think we have like a bit of a problem with the fact that, first of all, college is so expensive, and like Dylan, you were just saying, it really is. It's just constantly shoved down your throat that you need to go to college. If you want to go to college, great, more power to you. That degree will most probably help you. But I mean, you're gonna be freaking just like paying that debt down maybe for the rest of your life. Who knows how long depending on how long you've how old when you went to college. But we have some questions. And all right.
All right, I'm back. What did you say?
I'm basically just about to read some questions. So this is in the context of Bitcoin. Jim Flannery sent.
Actually, Neil, I think I might have to leave in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, it's fine. So then I think, all right, so basically what we have, Jim Flannery just sent that today it's hard to use, but that doesn't mean it won't be that way in 10 to 20 years from now. That's in the context of Bitcoin. And basically, yeah.
I have another thing to say on Bitcoin.
Okay.
Is it's an unregulated market.
Exactly.
Like unregulated markets can go very crazy. Like I play a lot of this card game called Magic the Gathering, and it's pretty insane how much money people make because it's an unregulated market. Like even people who create the game, they can invest in the company and invest in cards. Like if they know a card might spike because they're creating another card that works well, but the other one, it's going to spike the price. So they know that they can buy and sell at the same time. So it's an unregulated market, which can go very crazy, very, very fast. And I know I was at the this really enormous tournament, and there were a bunch of vendors there, and they were saying if the government knew how much money I was making off this card game, they would be swooping in here and just stealing all my money. He was like, if Magic the Gathering and Bitcoin are two extremely unregulated markets that can be like corrupted very, very easily.
Not like
even our government, our currency is corrupted. You know what I mean? And that's a regulated market. But
I think the problem is that the government's never going to let this become mainstream. And if you want to make the argument, where's it going to be in 10, 20 years? Yeah, cool, that'd be great. Where's it going to be in 10, 20 years? Who knows? Probably maybe at the top of everything. But, I mean, the progression is probably going to be halted by the government who's not going to let it become mainstream. God knows how they'll do it. But it's not like the government is where, oh, they can't do this, they can't do that. Yes, the government can. If the senators agree, Congress agrees, and the president agrees, they can basically do pretty much anything they want. They can, and you say, oh, but the Constitution, they can amend the Constitution. But the whole point of this is that, and we're talking about lobbying and crony capitalism, it's like the way how lobbying works is just horrible. And guess what? The people who create our money are not going to want that. Do you understand how the people who create all the money are going to lobby? There's a big-ass problem with Bitcoin becoming mainstream. And it's that the people that create the money don't want it to happen, and people can be swayed by money. So, yeah, it's a problem with Bitcoin. But if the government does want it and the Federal Reserve doesn't want it, then we could see something happening. But there's no reason for the government to want it. There really is none. They can't track it. They can't control it. They can't, because a lot of times, even when they did have the gold standard for currency, during war times, they'd always remove the gold standard so they can print money and pay as much as they wanted for the war effort. And they can't do that with Bitcoin. So do you understand the government's not going to want this and the Federal Reserve's not going to want this? They're just going to crush it. It's not going to happen. This will not become mainstream. The government's not even taking it seriously because it shouldn't be taken seriously at the moment because it just will never become mainstream. Don't invest in Bitcoin. I'm not an investor. But I wouldn't invest in Bitcoin just because I don't see it happening with the government. But moving on to some other things, it's new technology, takes a long time to implement. Yes, it does, but I think the reasons we just said still hold it back. One straw value is no fees. You could do a business deal transferring $100 million. 1 second. You go ahead, Dylan. I'm reading this real quick. All right,
yeah,
so
just unmute. But yeah, I don't think the government would ever let anything like Bitcoin actually exist and be viable in currency because it rivals with their system and they make an incredible amount of money. And I know I even looked it up because me and my dad were curious about the Federal Reserve, like who makes all the money off the Federal Reserve. And it said like 0.5% of all their earnings goes to their like, owners. And that was probably made up of senators and governors and politicians and just rich people. And so I was just trying to think how much money that is, and it's like an incredible, enormous amount of money. 0.5% is like an unimaginable amount of money. I mean, they just literally print their own money. Like you were saying, whenever they write checks, like the checks literally like just come from money they just printed. But Neil, I'm sorry, I think I have to go.
okay. All right. So I'll just read questions really quick, and if you gotta leave, they'll just hop off. I'm just gonna finish off with reading some questions. All right. So this is another one talking about Bitcoin.
One second, Neil. Sorry, I think I gotta go.
All right.
This was fun though. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Bye.
All right. So with that, I suppose we're going to end it. I'm just going to quickly read some of these questions real quick. So this same question, Jim Flannery was talking about the context of Bitcoin. There aren't really any fees from Bitcoin, so you could do a business deal transferring $100 million and pay pennies in fees, whereas banks would charge you a percentage. So it benefits capitalism. I'm not arguing how awesome Bitcoin is. It's just I don't think it can come into effect just of how it's a great concept, but I don't think it's going to work. It's just too private for really it to work. All right. The currency. In terms of currency, everything you discussed about the U.S. system is broken. Isn't it possible that a different currency could become the leading currency? Absolutely. The whole point is that actually not really. Now that I think about it, if we had gold-backed currency, the same currency would be fine, have the same effect. If we just keep the same currency, I don't care. You can call it the U.S. dollar. You can call it the U.S. stapler. Whatever you call it, if it's backed by gold and silver, an actual thing that we think is valuable, then it will work. And we cannot have a central bank. Those were the principles that our country was founded on. And Andrew Jackson, Old Hickory, probably an extremely badass guy, Old Hickory, Andrew Jackson, President of the United States, disabled the central bank and we had experienced a huge economic boom. Of course, it's been brought back numerous times and it's in effect right now. All right. Yeah, and that alternative currency could be Bitcoin or a currency backed by gold and silver, of course. You're assuming the U.S. is an immovable ship, right? In the context of bringing Bitcoin, kind of, but not for everything else. Actually, if the entire peoples got together and rallied behind Bitcoin, U.S. would have to follow suit. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Spreading awareness for Bitcoin is a great thing, but I think a better thing, a more realistic thing, would just be to spread the knowledge of the Federal Reserve, because I'm sure the Federal Reserve, without having knowledge of its existence, would find some way to stifle Bitcoin in some sort of way. We need to increase public awareness of the Federal Reserve and the crap that they're throwing at us. All right. Okay, we have a lot of things. I'm just gonna read like a few, then I'm gonna quickly let all you go. All right. I'm using a bit of all right. I'm using a bit of an oddball, but just because the current powers that don't want something happening doesn't mean it can't. Of course, that's what I just said. It definitely could happen. It's just I don't see it realistically happening. You don't necessarily need the government's permission. Yeah, you don't need the government's permission, but that doesn't mean they're not going to find a way to stop you. Like I said, lobbying Congress, the Congress's power and the president's power put together, if they're lobbied correctly, can do anything they want unless all the people rise up. And they just stop it. Okay. Similar to our conversations about changing the education system, there are powerful interests against this happening. But isn't it worth working toward? I think so, but I think it's less feasible with Bitcoin it happening, and it's more feasible with just spreading awareness about the Federal Reserve. Bitcoin is such an unknown when it comes to how this is working, and it's such and the gold-backed currency has really no real huge flaws other than the fact that the government can take it away. But we'd experience an economic boom. Bitcoin would be putting a lot of effort into something that the government's going to try to stop, whereas gold-backed currency, if we rally behind the cause properly, it could definitely be implemented in a great way where the government would rally behind us. All right. Last one. All right. Increasing awareness is nice, but it's not an actionable change. There is no metric to determine if you've succeeded. There was no vote to change the policy, no shift in power. Right. But the reason increasing awareness, I think, actually works is that, if the whole people gather behind a single ideology and protest about it and protest, we need gold-backed currency, we need this, we need that, I think it could definitely happen. And that starts with awareness. We all need to know about it first. We all need to realize this is happening and we need to act on it. Bitcoin, I'm using the context of Bitcoin because, while it's a pretty cool idea, it's just so much, it's a better way because protesting and rallying can fall under, we can do both for Bitcoin and the gold-backed currency. But gold-backed currency, now don't get me wrong, we shouldn't try new things. I think we shouldn't try new things. It's that to heal the system, let's do something that's proven to work, give us economic boom, rather than an unknown. The government doesn't like it. Some people don't like it. We don't know what's happening with it. We should try something maybe that we know first. And with that, I think we're going to end the video. And I thank you all for watching Youth on Subjects of the World. This was a very short one today, but, short and sweet. I hope you found it informative and enjoyed the end video. Have a nice day.
The message that I'd like to share about gross national happiness is that it's not just about Bhutan, and that it's not just about happiness in a very superficial way. It's really about the deep-seated causes of happiness and well-being that come from living in harmony with nature, in harmony and balance with others around you, and really being in touch with yourself and your own wisdom. That transcends any culture or country boundary, and it's really central to our own personal happiness and to, I think, our survival as a planet.
GNH is a kind of a medicine, if you want, for the illness of our times. The first message of GNH, I believe, is reconnecting with our natural environment in such a way that we acknowledge, respect, and value the sacredness of all life forms and our interconnectedness with all life forms. The second crisis that we are facing as a mankind is an economic crisis, which is actually more of an ethical, of a moral crisis than an actual economic crisis. Therefore, we see rising inequality not only between North and South, but even within rich societies. So the second message is about creating a caring economy, an economy that is based on values like altruism and compassion, and collaboration, solidarity, rather than competition and destruction of the environment. The third message of G&H, I believe, is reconnecting with ourselves, with our deepest or highest potential, with our deepest values. Because a lot of the dissatisfaction and meaninglessness that we experience in modern life is the direct consequence of this disconnection with ourselves.
I think one reason that gross national happiness has come into the spotlight in a global way right now is because there's a collective sense that things aren't working. I don't think we would be so interested in happiness if we weren't really feeling unhappy with a lot of things right now. So I think what G&H offers is not just a cosmetic stick-on Band-Aid solution to just tweak the system a little bit. It's really questioning why have we been chasing GDP and economic growth at all costs, and can we not balance that and look at happiness and well-being of all life as a reason and the center for development.
If we want to change the world, we must first change the media. Mainstream media exists for the purposes of indoctrination and manipulation of public perception. The world of free and independent media is growing, and with the upsurge in information now available in the public domain, it has never been easier to access free and independent media. The exploration of this information resulted in an experimental project which would provide a fully supported space for researchers, whistleblowers, and seekers of all kinds to express themselves and educate the world. On the 1st of January 2015, Conscious Consumer Network was launched to the world. Nobody thought we would make it this far, but CCN is the longest running free and independent media network of its kind. CCN is a unique collaboration of hearts and souls, bringing you information from different perspectives to educate and inform. Since we started CCN, we have had only one desire: the pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world, and this has not changed. Having overcome many challenges over the last 2 years, CCN is here to stay, and we've got great things lined up for 2017. Help keep CCN on the air by supporting the 2017 Network Support Fund.